Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Storme. Thank you so much for pushing play on another episode today. And of course, welcome to the new subscribers. Guys, go back and have a listen to some of the episodes. I'm actually compiling them all together into categories and everything for you at the moment. So hopefully by next week, you'll just be able to say, I need some help with making money, or I need some help with marketing, or I need some help with referrals, and I'll be able to give you a link so that you can just go and have a look and they're all nicely sorted out for you. How cool is that? It's a mini project that I've given myself. Now, before we start, I just want to let you know that you may hear some very strange noises in the background. Those strange noises are coming from Gabe. He's my fur baby, for those of you who don't know. He's a Maltese cross Lhasa Apso, but they're coming from his little belly. It turns out Gabe's on a hunger strike. He only wants to eat lollies instead of his normal food, and as a result of that, he's woken up this morning not feeling 100% because he's so hungry. In saying that, I was able to give him a little bite of cheese. He did eat that, but I don't want to just give him lollies all day. So he's got a big bowl of beautiful, yummy, delicious, healthy food there and a big bowl of fresh water. So he's just been stubborn like his mother. But anyway, if you hear any strange sounds, that's all it is. So what I wanted to talk with you about today was alignment, because as you know, this is one of my things, right? Working in alignment, because when we're creating a private practice with soul, what we're doing is we're identifying what our core values are, what our core principles are, and we want to live those, okay? That's why I don't believe, some people say, leave business at business and home at home. You and I both know that energy doesn't work like that. Energy doesn't have a beginning and an end. What's happening at home affects your practice. What's happening at the practice affects your home, and you guys know that. But when it comes to working in alignment, what we really want to try and do, as you know from last week's episode, is identify maybe 2 or 3 core values. I always recommend, using one of those, and the term I use is a North Star. So using that energy as a North Star. And what we do is you imagine, like, you know how you put on sunglasses, because it's so hot here in Melbourne at the moment. We're in the middle of a mini heat wave. Like, I'm sitting in my room and it's kind of like a cave at the moment. I've got my little ring light on to illuminate the space, but all my curtains and blinds and awnings are down to try and keep the house a bit cool. But you know what it's like. You put on your sunglasses and you see the world differently. It's darker. Or you can put on some red lens sunglasses and everything seems pink and rosy. You get the idea. So what we want to try and do with alignment is put on your glasses, but instead of a color, we want to use that value. So, for me, one of my North Stars, as you know, is transparency. Like, I tell you guys so much stuff that I don't tell other people, but I want to be completely raw and real with you here. Some of the stuff I share with you here, I'm not going to always be sharing it on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram and things like that. But being transparent is something that's very, very important to me. And so what I will do is I will put on my little lens of transparency, like I did before I recorded this podcast. But you might have a different North Star, and maybe your North Star is something about connection, or maybe your North Star is something about the highest good. That's another one of my stars. So I like to think I have a constellation, but I've got like one overarching North Star, and then I've got 2 or 3 little baby stars that I can call upon. One of those little baby stars is getting stuff done. Like I really value, one of my core beliefs is following through on my obligations and commitments. So that's a little North Star for me. And it's by linking into that North Star when I need to, that I can get what needs to be done in the practice, but I'm still in alignment. Does that make sense? So what's happened is in the first week of doing the alignment challenge in the group, everybody was loving it. It was all going super well. There were a couple of people who missed out on the challenge because they just didn't get the notification and stuff like that. All good. That's fine. And so what I suggested last weekend was, hey, does anybody want to do it again? And a bunch of people said, yeah, let's do it again. And people who missed out get to do it, and all good, right? So we're going along and checking in with them day by day. It's so cool seeing the results that they're getting, because some of them, like when you have a day in alignment, what they share is totally different to a day when they're out of alignment. And the energy on the page, because we share this in the Facebook group, that just reading, you can get a sense of the energy. Like when you're reading the post about a day where they're able to work in alignment, it's like that energy just kind of leaps off the page out of the Facebook group and right into your lounge room, and you're just like, it's contagious, and you're just like, wow, I'm so happy for them, and yes, it works, and woohoo, and you're celebrating for them and you're celebrating with them, and you're just so full of love for that person because you can see that they're doing it and they're taking the action and it's working out for them. And then a couple of days later, that same person might put up a post that says, fell off the wagon today, something like that. You couldn't get in alignment, really down on myself, I feel depleted, I've got no energy. There was just a whole lot of stuff that needed to get done, and I screwed it up, and then you also pick up on that energy, don't you? So look at that post and I think to myself, okay, what's going on here? And so I thought it might be helpful to talk about alignment, because I want to just clarify a couple of things, right? Because I don't want people beating themselves up because they can't do it. So maybe it's something I've not communicated clearly, or maybe it's just something I need to say in a different way. So here's how I think about alignment. I think alignment is, you have, as I said before, like a little maybe constellation of, let's call them stars, just because, for me, my logo is a crescent moon. I love the moon. I wrote that program on manifesting with the moon for your private practice. So I'm very much a celestial being. So it just helps me think about it. And I can say, okay, let's say you've got your dominant or primary, the term you want to use, your North Star is the term that I use. You've got your North Star, which is your big core value, right? What I would suggest, what I think's happening is people are saying, okay, that's my North Star, and my North Star is, or let's say honesty. No, because that would permeate everything that you do. What would another North Star be? Balance. Okay, let's say that their North Star is balance, and then they have a good day, and then they go to work the next day, and then it's like they're getting pulled from pillar to post, and they go in with the intention of having a balanced day, however they want to interpret balance and however they want to experience the energy of balance in their practice. What's happening is they're losing control of the day. The day is requiring things of them that weren't in the plan. And before they know it, they're down on themselves because they've had a lot of extra things to do, or a lot of little things to do. There's been things happening on the side that have taken them out of alignment. So now they're operating sort of at the mercy of the practice, rather than being the director of the practice and directing what happens in the day. For example, And so then what's happening is I think there's a sense there that, I must be doing it wrong, or I'm not doing it right, or I'm not doing it good enough or well enough. And, therefore today was a write-off for me when it came to alignment. And I want to say, I'm sorry that you had that experience. Let's look at how you can have a different experience tomorrow. And what I would suggest is maybe thinking about what you want your dominant value to be. So think about your big North Star, but also have a look at what's going on for you sort of day to day in the practice. And if you are in a practice where lots of little things come up, there are always important things that come up. There's seeing clients, there's returning calls, there's getting your reports done. Now, all those things might not align with balance. And so at the end of the day, you've got them done, but you might be thinking, oh, well, I wasn't really in alignment today. So what I would suggest is maybe for private practice, you think about having a baby star, like a little secondary star there, that is around, the value of, well, like mine, following through on your obligations, or getting stuff done, or task completion, or something like that, seeing it through. Maybe that's one of your little baby North Stars. Think about the work that Jung completed, and think about archetypes. Now, when it comes to archetypes, for example, we don't have just one archetype. I'm not just one archetype. You're not just representative of one archetype, okay? We have a primary archetype, we have a secondary archetype, and we have a shadow. So it's unrealistic to think that, we're going to be able to just anchor into this North Star of ours for the whole day at the exclusion of everything else. So that's why I'm thinking maybe if you reflect back on the week that you had and look at those days where you felt like you weren't in alignment, and just allow yourself to notice and observe any patterns that came through and see what was going on. And if there were just other things that were demanding your attention that you needed to get done, look at creating a secondary archetype for yourself, or look at creating that secondary baby North Star. You can have one or two, but I think if you do that, then what will happen is tomorrow or Monday when you go to work, what I would imagine is that you will have a day that feels much easier and much more aligned, because you'll be going in there with your dominant value, but you'll have that flexibility to not beat yourself up as a result of doing the things that need to be done in the practice. Does that make sense? So have a little bit of a reflection about how you spent the time when you weren't focusing on the North Star, and really come up with an idea of what your secondary North Star might be. And you can have, as I said, you could have one or two little baby North Stars and just see how you go. But I think that that's really, really, really going to make a big difference in how you feel in the practice. And this is important because the energy that you have in the practice is going to determine what you receive into the practice. Okay, so if you're going into the work day feeling a bit addled and scattered, and you're feeling like you're behind and you're having to catch up and things like that, then that's the energy that you're putting out into the world, and you're going to get more of that coming back to you. If you go into the practice and you say, okay, my North Star is gratitude, and I'm going to see everything that I can in the practice through a lens of gratitude today. I'm going to allow myself to really tune into the energy of thankfulness and appreciation when someone pays their invoice, when somebody calls my practice to inquire, and when somebody rebooks a session, and when somebody applies for my job. I really want to tune into that energy of beautiful, deep gratitude and appreciation, and think also about, okay, and I have this little baby North Star here. that allows me to feel aligned and to feel in flow, getting the things that I need to get done in the private practice. Okay. And of course, if you listen to the last episode, we also have this other tool that you can use now, which is, a soul inquiry, isn't it? It's really asking yourself, how can I have this North Star and work in alignment despite these other little hiccups that come along in the practice? How can I better tune into the energy that I want to receive into the practice? Some people say to me, I want a practice that feels really light and really effortless and really joyful. But when they get to work, they're not behaving or bringing the energy of joy and effortlessness and lightness. They think about that when they're journaling at home, but then they get to the practice and suddenly they shift modes, they shift energies, and they become very rushed, busy, almost running down the corridor, walking very briskly, very important, lots of things to do. You don't bother me. I've got so much on my plate, sort of thing. So you're kind of disadvantaging yourself by stepping out of that. And so what I would encourage you to do is really think about it the night before and really imagine, what that's going to look like for you if you do embody joy, bliss, effortlessness and lightness in your private practice, and really think, how can I create those feelings in my practice? And that's going to help you stay in alignment. But it's also a very expansive way of you looking at the business, isn't it? I know, right? Don't you just love all of this stuff? I could talk about it all day long, honestly. I think in my experience, being able to ask, how can I work in alignment, has really helped to open so many doors for me about things that I didn't notice or recognize before. And one of the things that I used to really want was I wanted my practice to feel less stressful. I wanted it to feel more light and easy. And didn't matter what I was doing, I was still showing up with that energy of, it's heavy, it's hard, there's so much for me to do. But when I was able to reflect on, how can I make it feel effortless? How can I reduce that busyness in my day? What came through for me were things like, well, you could update your automations, you could outsource your bookkeeping, you could, do you know what I mean? And so that's what I mean by expansion. It opens up your mind to seeing what's possible. And then when you take those actions, yes, you need to invest a little bit of time creating that change that you want to see. But once it's set up, and you do get to live in harmony with your North Star and any little baby values that you might have. That's the value of it. The other thing to remember as well is, don't get too upset with yourself if you do have a day where it feels like it's just not working out for you. Remember that you've probably been working a certain way for a long time. And in the past, that way of showing up in the business worked for you. There was something there that was helpful because it reinforced that behavior, and that reinforced more behavior. And so you kept it up. But the thing is that you're at a point now in your practice where it may be time for you to recognize that those old patterns are no longer required and are no longer serving you. And with that comes that next step of, okay, how do we release those patterns? And maybe we release them with love and kindness and gratitude. Maybe you find a way to release them up to the heavens, through air. Maybe you find a way to release them through water. Maybe you find a way to release them into the earth. Maybe you write some things on a rock or something like that, and you bury that rock, or you know what I mean, use one of the 4 elements to support you in having that process of releasing with gratitude. And then creating space to welcome in this North Star and your baby North Stars. And be gentle with yourself. It takes time, as you know, to change patterns. We see it with our clients all the time. we witness that for them, don't we? We can help them see what needs to change, and we give them that guidance around what needs to change. And then we witness their evolution. And it's the same for ourselves. We can't just say, I'm going to live in alignment and have a practice in alignment today and expect it's going to happen tomorrow, because there are patterns that we will need to introduce. But the easiest way to bring those patterns into play once you've released old ones is really just to allow yourself stream of consciousness thinking, or stream of consciousness reflection, or stream of consciousness writing, imagination, visualization about what you think it's going to be like when you can bring this new energy to the practice. So I guess the takeaway today is you don't have to be locked into anything with alignment, all right? You're going to have a couple of core values there. And, you might find from week to week or month to month or day to day, the dominant one changes for you. That's fine. But you'll have maybe a couple of little secondary North Stars in your constellation that support you in achieving that alignment. And maybe it is a North Star around completing tasks, for example. So I hope this has helped. If this is something that you would like a little bit more support with in your private practice, I would love to be able to help you with that. There's a supervision group that you're welcome to join. There's also the Women's Circle. It's a private practice monthly membership. You're welcome to join that. I'll put my website in the show notes for you. If you click that, you'll see it will take you to a web page that has about 20 or so different ways that I can support you in your practice. And I would love to be able to do that and show you just how easy and beautiful and soul-informed your private practice can truly be. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. I hope you have a happy Saturday. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.